For more than 20 years, CTV has captured the moments that matter in our community. From our studios in St. Clair, you're watching Focus with Paul Dingeman.
Well, as we get into the month of September, we are happy to have a friend by the name of Amy Smith.
Hi, Paul.
Who's got a wonderful dog, a wonderful family.
Yes, I do.
We're glad to have you back.
Why, thank you. Thank you.
Nice
It's good to be
you.
back.
Good to be back. You're wearing a sweatshirt. It says Suicide Prevention, Walk to Remember, Walk to Prevent, October of another day, another year.
It was last year's sweatshirt.
Right.
Yes, it is.
And the date is similar. It's October 12th, if I'm correct, 2025.
Yes.
At the East China Park at noon.
Correct.
What is it all about?
Well, the St. Clair County Suicide Prevention Committee, we are made up of a group of very passionate people who care about preventing suicide in our community. So we have been around since 2006, and our focus really as a committee is collecting local data that we can use, that so we know where we rate compared to state data or national data. We also, community education and awareness is our second goal. And our third goal is to support survivors, people who've lost someone to suicide. In St. Clair County, on an average, we've got 24 deaths by suicide a year. That's one every 2 weeks. We're not that big of a county.
No.
You know, so our committee really wants to work towards preventing and helping to educate people. So we started a walk 10 years ago. It was called Walk to Remember, Walk to Prevent Suicide. I can't believe this is the 10th year that we're hosting this event. But it was really created to help support survivors. Again, those who lost someone to suicide. Because suicide is such a complicated death and a grief process. And oftentimes, because of stigma, you know, the individuals, the families feel very isolated, and it has ripped families apart. So by having this walk, it's an opportunity for them to come together to celebrate the life of the loved one they lost, and to kind of recognize that. But then also we provide resources for anybody who's struggling, know someone who's struggling, want to just put extra tools in their toolbox in case they ever encounter a coworker, a family member, a church member, you know, their own family, who might be struggling with thoughts of depression, suicide, and where they can go for help and what they can do. So that's really what our walk is, and it's always held on the second Sunday of October. And so that's why last year's was what, the 11th?
13th.
13th. This year's it's the 12th,
right.
Sunday the 12th.
And where is it?
It is at East China Park. And so we can register online. I think you have a flyer that I sent you. And so you can register online to participate. The walk itself is free.
So
but
it's
yep,
walk to, the number 2, remember, dot myevent.com.
Yes.
Okay, I'll go through.
So
walk number 2 to remember dot myevent.com. And there's T-shirts and commemorative shirts and beanie hats.
Yeah.
I like that.
You like that?
Yeah.
So yes, we kind of branched out. The walk itself is free. We don't charge for the walk. But this is also our major fundraiser for the Suicide Prevention Committee. So all donations are definitely appreciated, and 100% of all the money we raise is turned around and put into prevention efforts that we do in our community.
You have a nice turnout for it, too.
Yes, we do. We have roughly about 250 people that come. You know, they'll bring family members, co-workers, friends, neighbors. You know, if we have a teen that takes their life, then a lot of their friends or their sports group comes. You know, it's open for everyone, and we really encourage the community to come out and support it.
You used to have doves. Do you still do that?
Yes. Pollock Randall Funeral Home donates a couple of the doves, and so we do a dove release just before we start our walk.
Wow.
which is very, very powerful. We used to do, when we first started this, we used to do balloons, and everybody would let the balloons go. And again, that was very touching.
Yeah.
And so we become more environmentally friendly. And so we've switched to doves, which again are just absolutely beautiful to see them take off and circle around and go. And they go back to their home base.
Right.
You know, they're just trained to do that. And then the walk itself, it's roughly about a mile.
Okay.
You don't have to walk, or you can walk part of it and not.
You don't have to run.
You don't have to run, nope, it's strictly a walk. But then it's lined with our signs that are donated by TP Logos. And then some of them are facts, some of them is data, some of them are just general reminders about, you know, suicide and suicide prevention.
You said you've been doing this for 10 years, and I remember 10 years or maybe even longer ago than that, there was a spurt of young teenage suicides in St. Clair County. Has that gone down, or is the numbers, what are the numbers?
Knock on wood, right now we are good. But again, it kind of fluctuates. It's like, you know, things come in threes.
Yeah.
So the year that we'll have teens take their life, make that choice, we'll tend to have 2 or 3. What we've noticed in our data for this last year, for 2024 data, is that we've taken a big spike in seniors.
Really?
People 55 and older.
They're giving up.
You know, I'm not sure what, but that's something that we are now kind of changing. We're changing our billboard campaign to kind of highlight seniors. So check on your dad. What about your mom? You know.
Your neighbor.
Your neighbor, exactly. You know, those who are a little more isolated. And there could be a variety of reasons. It could be health, it could be finance, it could be loss, it could be whatever. So just being in tune to knowing what to watch for and what kind of resources are really important.
You mentioned a new billboard, and if Sully will throw that up, that is going to be everywhere in the county?
We're hoping to.
Okay.
We're hoping to. That's why the fundraising is so important. We are able to, this year we have a contract that it goes up 1 billboard somewhere in the county every month.
Oh, okay.
So this is our change. We just submitted a grant request to increase that. But again, it kind of highlights. We know that veterans take their life.
Right.
You know, there's one every 22 veterans a day end up dying. Your child, excuse me, you know, a friend. We know that in our county, oh my goodness, in our county, we've had an increase in females also taking their life. So is it a friend? Is it an aunt? Is it a sister? Well, I think, you know, and then your parents or neighbors. So
well, while you're taking the drop there, the number 988 is a national number, and it's a call or text, suicide or crisis lifeline. And that's been around for a couple of years now.
Yes.
But to highlight in this billboard, life is worth living with a child, a veteran, a friend, and a parent, really lightens it, makes it a little more better picture. That this is just not a senior thing, it's not a veteran thing. It's an everything thing.
It's an everything thing. And that's, our committee designed this.
Oh, really?
Because for 2 years, we ran it on teens. And we're highlighting the teens because of our spike in teen deaths. Well, that switched, and so this year we started focusing on you know, people who are a little more senior and veterans. And we thought, well, wait a minute, why don't we combine it all?
Yeah.
So that's what our committee came up with. And then, yes, definitely promoting the 988. It's a call, it's a text. If you are a veteran, I just called it today, as a matter of fact. So if you call it, the first thing they say, for a veteran, push 1.
Okay.
You know, if you need it in Spanish, however you translate whatever number you're supposed to hit for Spanish. And then all others, you will be connected with an operator very soon. Yep.
Well, that we're going to see around the county. But more importantly, we got to remember October 12th, 12 o'clock, noon, at East China Park for the Walk to Remember, Walk to Prevent Suicide Prevention fundraiser.
Yes. So what we're going to do is at 11 o'clock, we open up registration for anybody who doesn't register online. So they're more than willing to come, and then they can go through the vendors and collect the information.
What kind of vendors?
We have Council on Aging, the Health Department, Blue Water Recovery Outreach Center, BROC. We have
various things.
Yes, different groups that are at risk. Yes, the Teen Health Center, McLaren Port Huron, because of the mental health unit there, community mental health. So there's a variety. We will also have activities. So this year new, we're going to actually allow people to make bags, and then we'll put an illuminary light in them, and they can either take it with them if they want, or they can line the walk with them.
Oh, wonderful.
We have like little charms that they can make, you know, in memory of their loved one, that they can keychain or a necklace or something for your book bag, or, you know, that kind of stuff. So we try to make it a little bit more interactive. And I'll share a story with you back to one of the teens that took their life. He was 13 years old, freshman in high school, and his parents have come every year. Last year, they actually, and they make shirts. Some families make shirts and they all wear them and stuff. Last year, they gave me a shirt in honor of their son because of being able to put this walk on and how important it is to them and their family. So
That's
we
wonderful.
know that it is. It's very touching,
warm.
very touching. So as difficult as the walk may be, it is so cathartic for a lot of people, you know, because they're validated that their loved one meant something and was important, and that there's not alone, you know, again, trying to break that stigma about suicide.
It's a very touching walk and a very touching day that you put on.
Yes.
Sunday, October the 12th at noon at East China Park.
Yep.
Amy, you do great work.
Well, thank you, Paul. Thank you.
See ya. We're back with our next guest, Mr. Bob Freehan, and he's got some exciting news about the St. Clair Historical Museum and Research Center. You want to stay tuned for it. It's pretty exciting. We'll be right back. Well, there's some very interesting developments coming along in the St. Clair Historical Museum, Research Center, and even from the Commission. And joining us is the chairman of the Commission, Mr. Bob Freehan. Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
You were at City Council a few weeks ago and sort of
surprised a few people.
Surprised a few people and put a little feather out that there's something about some improvements coming to this, to one of the rooms, but to the whole building. What's happening at St. Clair Historical Museum and Research Center?
I'm glad you used the term Research Center, because actually that fits into the whole commentary, if you will, eventually. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but I wanted to give the council just a preview of some of the things that are happening, and they're kind of happening backwards because we're as you know,
that's today's society.
We're a donations-only museum.
Yes.
And then when we have major projects, we usually go out and solicit donors to participate in those major kind of projects. Well, about 3 months ago, I was talking to an individual who's been a supporter of the museum for a long time. And as I mentioned to the council that night, I said, halfway through the conversation with him, he said, "What would you think about building a new museum?"
And you said, "Pardon me?"
And I said, which was more, after I picked my mouth up and picked myself up off the floor. And he said, "Oh yeah, why don't we do something about 2 stories, 100 feet on the side?"
Oh my,
and I said,
my.
Wait, okay. And so the conversation evolved to the point where he wanted to be a major donor to a renovation and an expansion of the museum that would provide certain things that were very critical to the sustainability, to the long-term prospects of this of the museum, and so he wanted certain things to be included, and he and I had been talking about those kinds of things for a long time, and now you have somebody coming along that's willing to put up the majority of the money that it would take to do this. When I'm talking about the new things, I'm talking about things like additional space for display activities, a specialty room for research and those kinds of things, but most critically, an elevator. An elevator. Now, the reason why that was important to him and to me was because he has trouble, and now if you can throw up the picture of...
Well, let's stop you here, and let's start with a little bit of history. There's a green sign outside the right-hand side of the door there, and this building was originally a church.
A Baptist church.
Baptist church, and then when that congregation moved, it was purchased by Jerry Emig, who was a prime real estate guy here in town.
Well, he went to the city and said, would the city buy the building? Because there was a historic commission had been established at that time, but they didn't have a museum. And he said to the city, would the city buy this facility for a museum?
Right.
And the city basically said, well, if you can raise $30,000 in 30 days, we'll buy it. And I'm shortening up the whole commentary, but if you will. So they did. And that was in 1973. The people, the First Baptist Church congregation had moved out of the building because their nave, or the main portion of the church, was actually up on the second floor. 20 steps up.
Yep.
And as your congregation ages, as we all age,
right,
going up and down steps becomes much more problematic.
Doesn't compute.
So the city bought the property, and then they went for about 3 years. There was a lot of discussion about how the building would be used. Eventually, the museum got the main room on the second level, and then over time, from in the 1990s and 2000s, the museum has gradually taken over other parts of the building as things like Channel 6 and city offices and so on moved out of the building into the hospital, and then eventually over here at the former church building on Kearney Drive.
The addition on the left there of the picture, that must have been added before.
Those were added in the 1950s.
By the Baptist church?
By the Baptist church. Okay. And the problem is that the levels of the two floors on those two buildings, those two annexes, are different than the main level and the level. So when you go in this building, if you're going any place except the community room on the main floor, everything is up and down steps.
Terrible.
And which for a museum creates a problem.
Right.
And in reality, what's happening is not only are we not handicap accessible, but we're losing visitorships, and we're losing staff people, volunteers, because they just can't make it up and down the steps anymore. So as the donor and I are talking, there's some critical things that we're looking at in order to sustain and to actually increase visitorship, because now that the St. Clair Inn is open, reopened and active and really being engaged in the community, they're going to be marketing the museum, and the museum wants to be a destination museum for people, not just from St. Clair, but also people that are coming here to do family research, or people that are, there are, like you have foodies, there are museumies. There are people that go around and travel, and we want to be known as one of those museums that really engages people through a variety of activities. And so we're not just a collection of old stuff.
Right.
When you come in, you get the stories, you get involved in the stories. You can push some buttons, you get some interactivity, some engaging activities. That's very important for small town museums. And there's nothing that says you can't do it, particularly if you have a donor that comes along and says, I'm willing to put up a substantial amount of money, which then coupled with other donations, that we can really do the things that we need to do to become a destination museum.
Should we show them the steps?
Yeah, right now what happens is when you come in, this is what you're greeted with as soon as you walk in the door. You hear my voice saying, welcome to the St. Clair Historical Museum. Up the steps, you will notice, well, we've had people contact us and groups that want to do tours of the museum, and they say, well, can you handle wheelchairs?
No.
And we have to say no.
Right.
So one of the targets in this whole project actually is an elevator. And
Oh, really?
That elevator will be capable of handling wheelchairs or a single wheelchair, and that elevator will go from the existing main floor of the community room, and then any addition that we build either on the north side or the south side will have a floor at that same level.
Wow.
So the elevator will take people up the 20 steps to the main room of the museum, and I think we have a picture of the main room of the museum.
That looks like the addition.
Okay, that's the addition.
Okay, next.
Okay, this is the main museum. We completely redid this about 8 years ago.
Right.
Because we acquired the paneling that
Right.
you see on here, and so we've gone to dioramas so we can tell stories better rather than just a collection of old stuff. A lot of the things that we have, we put into storage and we bring out occasionally for programs or for rotating displays. But this is the real attraction. So what we want to do is continue to use the main floor, which is up 20 steps, and access it via the elevator. Now, what we will do, and in this, as you see here, you see a lot of different displays, but each one of these display areas talks about a specific aspect of St. Clair and St. Clair's history, but it's also, as you can see, the little screen in front of the fort, that's actually some audio-visual.
Interactive.
So, and it's interactive. On the other side of that fort, there's a Minecraft game that the kids can play and actually go inside the fort
That'll get
and
'em.
take their character. The whole story of the paneling is one that we like to tell when we give tours.
Yeah.
So it's exciting, but what we have to tell people who contact us is that, well, we can't handle wheelchairs, and so sometimes that turns people off.
Let's see the next shot there.
I mentioned the research center. So when we're planning on things, what's the current trend in museums like ours, and what we really have as part of our mission is to help people do genealogical research. We get at least one inquiry every other week for somebody saying, do you have any information about Mr. Westrick or Schweihofer or whoever? Right. Because my great-grandfather, and we had a lady just recently, she said my great-grandfather was Charles A. Gleam, who was the uncle of Charlie Gleam, who ran the meat store that some people remember if you're of a certain age before urban renewal. And so the lady that you see on the left, she is the great-granddaughter of Charles A. Gleam, and she brought all kinds of research information that she had accumulated and artifacts and so on to add to our collection, so that if somebody from the other side of the Gleam family comes in sometime in the future, that we will have all of this information. But right now, where we store this gets spread out all over the museum. So part of the concept of doing a new museum and expanding it is to provide a dedicated research room, so you're not in the middle of all kinds of activity, and you can have a quiet area where you and one of our volunteers can help you do the research.
This is in the main floor, isn't it?
This is on the main floor.
When I look at the top of the cabinet there, it looks like that's the museum you just saw in the previous picture.
Correct, just on the other side of that. We will take all of those files, and these are all family files. Dave Balfour, one of our volunteers, has done a file on every one of 300 ship captains that came from the St. Clair area, as much as we can collect. And this is the kind of information you can't find on Ancestry.com
Right.
or on newspapers.com.
Right.
So, and then people bring things to us so we can add to the family file so that in future generations, and we work very closely with the St. Clair County Family History and Genealogy Group. They actually meet in the same building.
Here's some more. This is another picture of Reasearch.
And she's the lady there, Carol Gunter. She's describing the origins of every one of those articles sitting in front of her.
Oh.
So she has a story, and that's what history really is.
Yes.
It's not just artifacts; it's the story of those artifacts,
right.
who they belong to, what they were used for, what fun people had with it, what they did with them, and so on. So she's exchanging a lot of that information, which we will document, and we will make that part of a presentation.
Okay, what's the next one there, Sully?
The other thing we want to do is provide more space. Now, this is actually in the community room
This is downstairs.
that we use, but this isn't part of the museum. We would like more activity area, and you might want to pull up one of the other kids' pictures.
Go ahead. Next picture. There you go.
Okay.
What a smile.
This is the recreation group that's on tour at the museum, and he's wearing a hat that is covered with beaver skin, and so he gets the whole story.
Yeah.
But we need space to tell that kind of story,
Yeah.
and space to take groups, which we will be advocating and marketing for as group tours for the museum.
More kids.
And as I mentioned, Minecraft, these two boys, they spent 45 minutes with the Minecraft game, and they learned all about the fort,
Okay.
ancillary to actually
Great
playing the
idea.
Minecraft game.
Great idea.
Minecraft game. So we're doing a lot more of that, but we need more space to do that sort of thing. And also, we will be soliciting donations for equipment and things like that to actually be placed in the new building itself.
In the glass case over there, the black phone, I believe that's the first phone that Doc Carney had at his house when it was the first one installed in St. Clair.
Yes, and what you can't see behind the one boy's head is a typewriter.
Oh.
You can see a typewriter in the case. 8 and 9-year-old kids, we have seen them spend 45 minutes at a typewriter, playing with an old typewriter. And what history is to kids is how things change.
Yeah.
They know what a typewriter keyboard looks like now, if they have a phone or something like
Right.
that, or if they have a computer. But they have no clue as to what the origins of that,
Right.
and why the typewriter keyboard is still somewhat the same as it was back
Let's see the next
years
one.
ago.
Oh,
Now this is the salt room, and one of the proposals for additional space in this new construction would be to increase the size of the salt room, and we have talked with Cargill about the possibility of creating like a mini IMAX theater that would, or a series of screens that you would walk through and actually tour the salt plant. The salt room currently is only about 200 square feet. We couldn't accommodate that. So we're looking at doing about a 350 square foot room in the new building on the main floor, because we are the tour of the salt plant.
Yeah.
Diamond Crystals, Cargill sends people over to us, but we really like to give them a tour, and not just a static display, but one where they can walk through and get interactive
Wonderful.
buttons and things like that. So it's, we say renovating the building, but we're really moving the building into the 21st century.
I like that. I like that.
And moving the building into appealing to people that aren't necessarily from St. Clair, but love to see the creative aspects of museums, and we want to become a destination museum, particularly for people who are now visiting
So-
the St. Clair Inn.
You've got a gentleman who is willing to give you a kickstart to get the whole thing going.
A major kickstart.
Major kickstart. Add an elevator, add some rooms. What's the next step?
We have already met preliminarily with an architect. He was the architect on the St. Clair Inn and the Boardwalk Theater. And he's given us a proposal which we will be taking to City Council for their approval to actually prepare preliminary designs based on the kinds of things that I just described. What our needs are, how much square footage do we need, and what would that total, two-story building and so on. So it may be a renovation of the two annexes on the south side of the building that you see here in the picture to the south, to the left, or a new build, new two-story new build on the north side.
Oh.
In each case, one of the things that we're telling the architect, design us something that uses the customs house, which is currently out and back, and I think you have a picture of
Yep.
it, the customs house.
There you go.
This will become the back entrance to the museum.
Oh, I like it.
So when you go through that door, you'll actually be entering the museum, but you'll enter a display that replicates what happens when you would get off the ferry boat in 1945 and go from the ferry boat from Courtright to St. Clair. You'll actually go through that same process because there might be a voice in there saying, "Can I see your passport, please?"
Yes, right.
So the intent is to immerse people in St. Clair and the St. Clair experience.
So how does the public help you?
The public will be invited to help once we get a design. Once the city, because we are a commission of the city, we have to work through the city superintendent and the city council, and then we get some preliminary designs. They approve the contract for the preliminary designs. We get those designs. We start looking at which one we think would work best, and then we can go to the public because those designs will include all of the things that the donor is looking for.
Yes.
The donor has some very specific things that he wants to see, and then the public, that donation becomes matching funds. So there may be some things that we need in order to meet our final expected construction costs that then somebody might want to donate the elevator or donate money towards the elevator. An elevator is not an inexpensive thing.
No.
You're talking about probably close to $100,000.
Right.
And so we will be creating a capital campaign and asking people in the community as well as other foundations. We will go after grants for specific projects within the museum itself. So
Pretty exciting.
You'll be hearing more about that
Well, we'll have you back
probably early next
as
week.
it progresses, but it's a gem of an idea that Jerry Emig got started many, many years ago, and you guys have been doing wonderful jobs of building some displays and doing things, but this is really exciting.
It is. And our volunteers are excited, and we've already been contacted by 3 of the volunteers who can't volunteer anymore. They say, as soon as you get the elevator in,
I'll be there.
I'll be back.
Great, great. Bob Freehan, you're doing a great job. Chairman of the St. Clair Historical Commission
And
and Research Center.
that operates the museum and the Historical Museum and Research
Big hat.
Center.
Now you're going to put your construction hat up.
Yeah, I meant to bring one in today, but I couldn't find one.
That's about it for this edition of the Focus program. Thanks very much for tuning in. Till next time, I'm Paul Dingerman. See you soon.